Hello, welcome back to Project Mastery Podcast. Today we are tackling three of the trickiest PMP scenarios in scope management, where many confuse control quality with validate scope and forget how change control ties it all together. Ready? Let's play what should the PM do next. Your team completed a feature, control quality checks passed, producing verified deliverables. During the stakeholder demo, the sponsor says it doesn't meet an acceptance criteria listed in the RTM and rejects a deliverable. What should the project manager do next? The options given are ask the team to rework immediately and schedule another internal test, raise the change request, analyze impact, route it through performance indicator change control, and then plan, rework and revalidate, or mark it accepted because it passed control quality, proceed to the next feature, or the project manager is going to update the scope baseline right away to reflect sponsor feedback. The correct answer is option B. Why is this answer right? Rejection during validation scope triggers a change request. You must log the variance, analyze impact for scope or time or cost or risk, submit through perform indicator change control, and only then execute approved rework. After rework, run control quality again, then validate scope to obtain acceptance. Other options are not the right answers. Rework now, option A, skips formal change control. Rework without approval can misalign scope, cost, schedule governance. Option C says accept anyway. Only validate scope produces accepted deliverables. Option D says update scope baseline now. This is not the right option. Baselines change only after approved change request. Never edit baselines ad hoc. Remember this mantra: verified equals validate scope equals accepted. Rejection equals change request plus perform indicator change control. Moving on to the next question. Mid demo, a key stakeholder asks for a new analytics report that is not on the scope baseline but says it is critical for launch. The sprint ends this week. What should the project manager do next? Options given are add it to keep the stakeholder happy, it is small and quick. Use contingency reserve to build it now since it's critical. Document the request and submit a formal change request for impact analysis and decision by the change control board before any work, or you can promise to include it after go live without change control to avoid delay. The answer is C. Why C is right? Unapproved functionality leads to scope change. The project manager must capture the request, perform impact analysis, and route through change control board. Only on approval should you plan and implement. Hence, it's a must that you document the request and submit a formal change request for impact analysis to change control board. Other options are not the right answer. Option A, just add it. That is scope creep and a classic PMP trap. Option B says spend contingency. Contingency isn't a bypass for change control. It covers identified risk, not new scope. Option D, which talks about promise later, no control, still avoids governance. All scope additions require the formal change request, perform indicator change control path. If it is not in the scope baseline or WBS dictionary, it is not authorized work. Route it properly. Moving on to the next question. A phase delivery is verified and ready for formal acceptance. The sponsor is traveling and cannot attend this week's validate scope session. Go live depends on sign off. What should the project manager do next? Does he need to proceed to close phase so acceptance is implied? Or he needs to follow the communication stakeholder engagement plan to obtain formal acceptance? Or he needs to skip the validate scope for this phase and do it at project end? Or he needs to ask the team to add a few enhancements to sweeten acceptance when the sponsor returns? B is the right answer. PMP expects you to use your plans. The communication management plan and stakeholder engagement plan should define who can sign, how sign-off is captured, e-sign or email or form, and escalation paths. Obtain formal acceptance now per plan to protect the schedule. The other options are not the right answer. Option A talks about implied acceptance. PMP requires explicit acceptance during validate scope for accepted deliverables. Option C is also not the right answer. It says validate later. This will defer risk. Option D is talking about enhancements. That is actually gold plating, creates risk and doesn't replace formal acceptance. You need to plan first your stakeholder and communication plans or the playbook for timely acceptance. We have come to the end of the episode. If today's scenario helped, drop your score in the comments and tell us which tab got you. Subscribe for the next Scope Mastery round. Thank you for tuning in.